Anna, chicken crowing in the back there at the wrong time for that.
Country.
All right. Yeah. Okay. The recording started, so you can begin.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good night, wherever you are in the globe on this classroom. We want to welcome everyone. All of us are here for one purpose on this day, the 18th of April, because many would like to achieve high grades or to graduate with honors. And one such person who is here to equip us and is multi skilled is Dr. Wayne S. Bassoon, an expert in business leadership and ethics, who has and continues to share his knowledge with students like ourselves and future leaders. As you are quite aware, various experts, week by week, from various career paths and nations, expounded and disseminated relevant and needed information via examples, strategies, and theories from the manual Exploring Leadership for college students who want to make a difference. I am Fadina Rampol. I specialize in BA in the early childhood education. And with me today, I'm elated to share, and with me today, who is elated to share with me on the same virtual platform, is no other than Miss Zabian, hope I have it correct, Gera, and she is also studying a BA at Costat. Miss Gera, could you let the persons know that you're on the platform, please, by saying hello or any greetings?
Hello everyone.
And what are you specializing in, Miss Gera?
My bachelor's in business management and entrepreneurship.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask those on the platform just to put your hands together by some emoji and recognize Miss Gera this afternoon. And we are going to continue highlighting on the topic understanding complex organization as on our first slide from chapter 8 from pages 247 to 280. Before we finish this conference, in the next few weeks, we will all conclude without we will all conclude that we have learned proper leadership and ethics skills made being an organization wherever you are. But for sure, we know that one thing you will learn how to organize, how you can become a leader and avoid chaos in whichever aspect or workplace or religious bodies that you are. We will go on to our next slide, which speaks about a quote. According to Roosevelt Moses, in her quote, every business model needs structure and needs money to pay staff, cover utility, and much. So I'm going to ask Ms. Guerra to go right on to the next slide, and you're going to see that quote. Business requires understanding financial matters, but management is different from running the financial aspects of the businesses. It requires understanding complex systems, how they operate, the nature of the organization, which happens when people interest in groups, and how to motivate and guide people. Now, as mentioned, we are talking about complex systems. And in a complex business, you will always need money. Money causes it to revolve. Without money, it dies. Even there are a lot of issues in families without money. But we wouldn't look at it as being as a complex business. We are going to stay fixed on a business or maybe a religious body or such like. So it lets us know, even though you have that money, that is not as so much as important as to having the managerial staff handling the money. Different persons who can execute leadership portfolios, may it be paperwork, may it be IT, may it be management, may it be sales, may it be the department that deals with handling, cleaning up the business on a regular basis, day after day. It's all about management, it's all about structure, it's all about working together. And if we don't have those things covered, then there will surely be chaos. We have experts from we have experts on this platform. We have persons who are doing various fields of education. So I'm going to ask you for you to share regarding the quote. What are your thoughts on the same that you are viewing? Complexity, as you think it through, complexity deals with different aspects. It is wide, it is vast. It deals with components, different things coming together to form one body, to form one organization. Let's consider the brain. The brain has so much different facets, and that causes us to think, right? Many things have to come together in order for me to speak and to speak with clarity, for even for you to speak with clarity. So that's also a complex, aspect in the human anatomy when God created us. We are looking at infrastructures in the government system that needs to come together to ensure that the government um, function effectively. It doesn't matter which party is in governance. Once they come together and they meet, then with interest from each other and from the group, and as they motivate each other, they would be able to share. Does anybody would like to add to that point? Anyone? So as we move right ahead regarding how the business has to continue as in its complexity, the organization is complex, and how we're going to make things work out for the best of the organization. We're going to hear more information. But before I go a little more deeper into our presentation, and as well as Miss Sabian will come on and share, we're going to go into an activity. Let's break the ice a little, because I don't know how your day was. I don't know what happened in your family. I don't know how was your weekend. So let's kind of get rid of the ice and the coldness and the discomfort on the platform, because in organizations, that's what leaders have to do. As people come on a daily basis, some come with issues, some come with challenges, and they have to interact to ensure that the goals and the objectives that must be achieved on a daily basis is achieved, while at the same time supporting and meeting the emotional needs of their staff. So earlier I gave persons numbers, and I'm trusting that everyone is still on the platform. So when the dice is rolled, I'm going to say the action as I mentioned earlier. Nothing to have you uncomfortable, nothing to make you shy away, right? So I'm trusting that you will unmute your mic and share freely. It may be in 30 seconds or 1 minute regarding the question. So when the dice is rolled, whichever number you are, I'm going to share the particular question that I am trusting that you're going to share your feedback on. So go ahead, Miss Guerra. Please roll the dice. So this is a debriefing game, right? So let's see where the dice will stop. Number 3. And number 3 is Selena. So Selena, you can unmute your mic, please. And
You heard me, right?
Yes, we are hearing you, Selena.
Okay.
All right, thanks for unmuting. Describe a good idea you heard about. Describe a good idea you heard about.
A good idea, personal.
A good idea.
It could be pertaining to anything like work-wise or
Anything. anything. Yes.
Okay, well, I had a situation, well, not really a situation in work. Our manager spoke to us, like, pertaining our resumes, no. So she told us that she will have like a crash course for us for free because certain crash courses you have to pay for in order to learn how to write up a resume. That was just recently.
Right.
That was just recently. So she told us that she will do a crash course for us for free, if, as we are working in the industry, for us to better our resume writing, so that when we go out in the world of work, they will have everything that they are looking for on the resume.
Excellent.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's it. I don't have
All
any
right. Let's take time and show a little emojis and show a little reaction, as we encourage each other. So next, roll the dice again, please, Miss Guerra. Thank you, Selena. Appreciate it.
no problem.
Let's see what the dice will stop now. Number four, Kalisha. Number four, and you are seeing it right on the screen. Describe a feeling you experience. Kalisha, unmute your mic for, she's ready and raring to go. Describe a feeling you experience.
Well, when I was presenting presentation 3 with my group member, I experienced a feeling of anxiety to speak, a little shy. So when it comes to presenting and stuff, I feel a bit anxious. So and a bit afraid, but yeah.
Good job. Good job. Thank you so much, Kalisha and Gil. Miss Guerra and myself were talking about, we feeling chilly, that, oh
We
gosh,
was,
we don't know
we
what to
was.
say if we concern and all of that. But as all of us, Sir gave us that opportunity, and little by little, it is fading away the discomfort from all of us. So congrats to all of us who have already shared on the platform. Thank you, Kalisha. Roll the dice again, please, Miss Guerra. We're moving on nicely. We're moving on nicely.
One.
One, all right, one. That would be Aaron. Is Aaron there?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead, Solia. Your question, right here, name one new thing you learned today. One new thing, may I say, that you have learned today?
I've learned that while studying for my practical exam tomorrow, that certain positions cannot be obtained even when following hospital protocol due to injury or trauma obtained by a patient.
Wow. Well, people, like a medical man, like the medicine man, like the health man. So good job, Aaron. Good job.
Thank you.
So that particular question, I know you're going to get it right for your exams. And when you go to do your practicum, you're acing it. You're acing it with
Thank you.
comfort. Yes, good job. Good job. Wow, wow, good job. Number two, I think, it's rolling with well, we had three already. Let's try. Yeah.
Oh,
What
can we
number?
call her number 6?
4, 5?
4.
All right. Let's see who will be next. Let's see who will be next. 5. Good
5.
job. Nyla. You unmute your mic, please. Can you unmute your mic, please? Describe something that you pushed you outside your comfort zone, Nyla. Describe something that pushed you outside your comfort zone, Nyla. Nyla, dear, right? Nyla, dear? Is Nyla there? Okay. Well, since Nyla isn't there, let's see if is Dan Wayne. Sir, let's ask Dr. Wayne. Let's ask Sir, our tutor. Sir, describe something that pushed you outside your comfort zone, please.
Well, first of all, let me correct you. I'm not a PhD person, so I'm not a doctor.
So this is, sir, I know. Sir, I know. We are just pretending for our presentation.
You're pretending. Okay.
Yes, for our presentation.
So what question do you want me to answer?
Describe something that pushed you outside your comfort zone.
That's an interesting question. Comfort zone. Describe something that pushed you out. All right. A desire to become healthy. That is something that's pushing me outside my comfort zones right now. Because sedentary type of activities that I'm involved with now, because I'm online so long, has led to some deterioration in my health. So that is something that I am realization of age then, and the impact of sedentary lifestyle is creating that push for me to step outside of my comfort zone and try and push to get a little healthier, do some exercises, and kind of look after myself a little more rather than just looking after students. Is that sufficient?
Yes, sir, that's more than sufficient. I think all of us, as we continue to use the technology, all of us have to be careful with our health as well, young as well as mature or older persons. It's important that all of us use preventative measures so that we could have all our, well, like our senses, our eyes especially, healthy for when we reach older. So thank you so much, sir. We just have 3 more. So I am just going to call the numbers and you can answer the questions because I'm not too sure if Miss Guerra rolls the dice. If we're going to get 2, we're going to get 3, I'm going to get 6. Let's try it one more time, Miss Guerra. Let's see if those 2, if any of those will come up and we go right, we will continue our session. So I want to say thanks to all of those who have participated. I'm sure we all have learned something from someone and we look forward to developing ourselves.
We keep guessing 5. So
yeah, not guessing it. Let's try 6. Jada, could you share something from 6? Number 6. How will you apply what you have learned today? Jada, how would you apply what you learned today?
Well, as far as I learned is the structure of this presentation is amazing. I love that it's interactive and getting us to answer questions. So for one, I think it's good to reach out to the audience. And I like this idea. I'll implement it in my future presentations.
All right. We are glad that we could have helped. What about number 2? DeLeon. DeLeon, are you there?
Hi.
Thanks for answering the call. Number 2, acknowledge someone for a job well done.
Okay, well, Jada literally said what I was going to say because I was going to acknowledge you all for getting us to interact because I know that we tend to be shy during presentations and we don't really speak up. So this was a good strategy, a good tactic you all planned for us today. So yeah.
Well, on behalf of Ms. Guerra and myself, we say thank you. And we say thanks to all of those who took part in the competition or the little activity, the icebreaker, because without you participating, then it would not have been a success. So thank you. So we go right into our learning outcomes. As we close this session, we are going to look at what we want you to take away from this session. There are a lot of information that we want you to take away, but we could just only summarize it in a jiffy. So at the end of this discourse, from chapter 8, pertaining to understanding complex understanding, you will take away how the environment, how it influences a complex organization. You will know the power of leadership in an organization framework, whether it's a religious body, school, wherever you are, you will be able to know the power of leadership. You will get the know-how regarding the relational model as per its purpose, its inclusivity, its empowerment, its ethics, and processes that any one of us will have to use to move forward in being leaders as well as being followers. So as we go a little deeper into our heading under understanding complex organization, I'm now going to pass you over to Ms. Guerra as she specially focuses on groups and organizations as complex systems and organizational leadership. Ms. Guerra, please unmute your mic and continue in this lovely discourse.
Hi, everyone. I would first off like to say we really do appreciate the participation for the interactive activity. It was very much appreciated. I love that you all unmuted your mic and spoke and shared views. Thank you for that. As Farina said, my name is Avian and I will be taking this part of the presentation, well, one of the parts, groups as an organization. So the first question that comes to mind here for me is how exactly is a group different from an organization? I asked myself this question in my head because they both had similar features. However, upon researching to further understand the structure, I discovered that they are actually different, and I'm going to tell you how. So, according to new research, a group is a collection of people who have a common purpose, while an organization is a formal group that has a defined structure. So, with that being said, can anyone here give me an example of a group that you are familiar with or a group that you're in? Please do share. Well, I consider this class to be a group, so I would say that I am in this group with you all. So, for organizations, in this context, I think about organizational structure, referring back to the line above, a formal group that has a defined structure. I'm sure that everyone here has encountered or came across the term organizational structure before, seeing that we have a lot of business students in here. So for me, I believe that is the method by which work flows through an organization and in turn allows groups to work together within their individual functions to manage tasks. As we know, organizations in themselves have multiple participants. So, for instance, I'm sure when, okay, so we say when you was smaller, you had a lot of friends that you used to play with, and when you're small, simple things just cause problems. Like your friend play with your toy, and you want that toy, and all this stuff. Somebody start to cry, things like that. In that same way, issues issues at that age were easier to resolve and come to a compromise because it's small. But now, as you get older, reactions to similar issues become more thought out, strategized, with the realization that you and that same friend have different interests. So, further you grow, the more different your actions become, especially in the workplace and even at our university level, because we are now exposed to all different forms of views and values and beliefs. So now referring back to organizations, organizations are somewhat of a collective group, meaning a group of groups. working together towards the same purpose. So, for instance, when we have the primary school level, and it has separate groups in that level, meaning as it relates to structure, it has separate groups. So it would have the principal, then it would have the teachers, then the students, and so on. But all of these groups are essentially working towards the same objective, although they may value the education system differently from each other. So could anybody here tell me what they think that objective is? The objective that our primary school would work towards. Y'all have kids?
Passing like SC is SC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like to reach the standard 5 to do good in SC to pass to go to secondary school.
Yes, exactly. Like the objective is to ensure that the students are educated. Very nice. So now that we've established groups and organizations, we're gonna identify the differences between groups and organizations. So as seen on this level, the table on the slide, in order to differentiate between groups and organizations, we could pinpoint and identify features by asking key questions to help categorize the feature of each. So in this table, it helps identify the difference. A group consists of small to medium numbers of members from around 3 to 15 people like us. I think I have 11 or 12 people here. So we are considered a group. A larger group that consists of 20 or more people, that's considered an organization. Both of these have continuous interactions as a common factor. However, smaller groups usually happen within proximity of each other, like church or school, while organizational groups occur regardless of proximity, like your job or occupation outside of your hometown or living area. Smaller groups are more simply structured, while larger groups have more complex structures, which we will be talking about shortly. Ultimately, they both have the same objective of achieving a specific goal or working towards a specific purpose. So, organizational interaction and proximity. I just want to touch on these two things. Um, Organizational interaction is basically interactions within the organization that are continuous. The success of any organization essentially depends on the various groups within it and in making sure they stay connected so it will be easier to work together easily and effectively. Becoming isolated or separated can have a negative impact not only on the specific group that has become separated, but also on the entire organization. Proximity is basically being physically close to other participants and is beneficial, but not necessarily required for organizations. It contradicts our perception of an organization as people working in the same room or at the very least in the same building. As we will see later in the section of virtual organizations that Fidina will be covering, there is an increasing number of organizations that are geographically separated but remain connected through technology and a strong confidence in our mission or purpose. So I'm sure all are familiar with KFC. All you know is KFC, right? I would be disappointed if somebody say no. But
Could you
what's up?
what was you saying?
Do you know what is KFC?
KFC. Oh, of course.
Is yeah, I'm sure you do. Who doesn't, right? So
Yeah.
although KFC has multiple different locations across Trinidad, they all connected to to serve the same purpose, which is to supply us with food at a convenience. But you know, they all of the locations have the same purpose. So moving on to the next slide. What is the purpose of organizations? They exist, as I mentioned before, and as we know, to achieve a specific goal. So we've all been involved, and some of us may have been placed in a leadership position at some point in a variety of organizations, companies, groups throughout our lives. But I, I, I personally never stopped to think, although I'm part of a company, I never stopped to think, I wonder how this organization got started. So, because I wasn't a founding member, and the thought never really crossed my mind. And I just assumed that it was always there. So, your engagement with companies, organizations, jobs, groups, whatever, it began with your attendance. So, you attended a meeting, you showed up to the job, and it's ended depending on how the group address your needs and ensuring that they meet the needs. If we attempt to answer the question, why do organizations exist? I would say they exist, like I just said, to achieve a specific goal. Right? Now, that we've established what are organizations and how they are intertwined with groups, we have another activity for y'all. Fedina.
All right, guys. Well, just as how Ms. Zabian had stated that businesses and companies exist for a particular purpose, there is a methodology for everything, right? So we want to get you all a little bit more involved and, to hear your thoughts. How do your experiences support the way differentiated among these three groups? Because Ms. Guerra did show us a table. So we are going back to that table to find out how your experience are different from these three concepts that were shown earlier. You could go back a little bit more, please. Right. So how your company is different from any one of these? Is anyone's company different from this? From this table that you're seeing? Does your group have 2 persons? Is it still a group? Anyone? Is your company difficult to communicate with your leaders? How is it difficult to communicate? What about the structure? How simple is the structure? A matter of fact, let me ask a simpler question. Does anybody belong to a group? If you belong to a group, you could put up your hand. So they said the group have 3+ participants. So anybody, you can put up your hand, show a little motion, from the raise hand, you can put up that button or you could do the react. If you are from a group, indicate yes or no. From three persons in your group. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. De Leon. What about those from a large organization, 20+ persons in your organization? If you are from an organization with so many persons, please indicate. Are you a manager? Are you probably in your religious group? Probably in the community group? It might have about 20 persons. Can you indicate with a raise a hand or a little, something to let us know you're from some kind of organization? Because it doesn't matter who you are or wherever you go. Once you and you're an adult, make it better. There are all kinds of groups in our nation, communities, and the world at large, which are adding quality to our lives. And I'm sure that somebody on this platform has been adding quality to someone else's life. I am sure that you are successful employees or even students at the end of the journey who will acquire a skill. So I'm sure you have been involved in something, some group, that could help you for the future. I'm involved in this, and I'm in school here, and I'm in the group of the business leadership. I'm in this group, and this group have helped me to develop skills that I could, maneuver on the platform. So at the end of the day, whichever group you are involved in, you will learn skills that will help you to be an efficient and effective person. So it doesn't matter if you don't show me, it's always come back to what about your proximity? Is it close to your workplace or close to your home? Close, all these things are things that we have to consider as we are involved in groups. And the bottom line is, why have you joined group? Why are you coming to this class, this business class? Why are you going to work every day? Why are you involved in the Red Cross or the Girl Guides? Why are you, as Ms. Guerra talked earlier about KFC, why are you at KFC? May not have nobody. But no matter your career path you take daily, you will encounter an organization. You will either lead or be led. So let's move right ahead. Ms. Davion, let's move forward. So as we move forward, and we spoke about organizations, we are going to look at companies. Large companies interact and they interconnect with each other. Organizations are dynamic. When I talk about dynamic, somebody doing something that could cause it either to improve or either to deplete. And it's very important when someone hires an individual in the company, all they are looking for that individual to do is to cause it to grow, right? So you're going to share your leadership skills. You're going to be part of decision making when it comes to meetings. You have to make a decision. So we are going to look at the bureaucratic model, right? We are going to look at the hierarchical structure of the divisions of labor when it comes to the traditional structure of leadership. Now, when you look at this leadership model, you will just see like the president. In this triangle, is a triangle you will see. And in this traditional method, you will see the president. You're gonna see the who else will be on this platform? You're gonna see officers and committee chairpersons. you're going to see participants, you're going to see members in this kind of structure. It is one of the structures that I think I grew up in, you know. You're just the person, the boss is on top. And whatever the boss says, it goes. He commands and controls everything. You might see a little, you're afraid to say something because you know you just want to make sure you get a paycheck at the end of the week. So you're just listening to whatever he says. Miss Gary could go right on to that traditional model so that our classmates could see it, please. It's something that has been in operation for years. The triangle, it has been there for years, whereby persons have been just working hard and trying just to stay afloat. And that's the hierarchical structure. It will show any person looking at it. I mean, you get clear structure, you know, you'll have rules and you will have regulations. You know, you will know how things running. You will know at the end of the day, the president already says, this is how it has to be. Come to work at 8 o'clock. Make sure you're at the workplace at 8 o'clock. Those who don't reach at 8, stay home, right? Stay home because work starts at 8. It's important that you be at the workplace. I remember going to a drugstore, and when I was awaiting the medical supplies, one of the staff members now coming in after 9. I kid you not, after 9. And one of the, well, the president, well, his son, the owner's son, he was like, so you know coming from, you can't, what happened? You're trying to tell me that flood in your community, and it was a very sunny day. She should be thankful that he didn't send her back home. So in this structure, it have the president, it have the officers, it have the committee. It flows in a particular order, structure. And the president tells you certain rules that he wants happening. I want that when you put on the computer, when it's 4 o'clock, take it back off. Take off all the lights, because I don't want burning a set of electricity. So he makes that mandatory. If he happens to die, or if he goes on a vacation, I kid you not, staff will maintain that order because it was already shared continuously by him. So a traditional structure follows a system that goes upward. The path I would have to obey. I would now report to my officer and the manager, and the manager now will report to the president. You know, sometimes in the structure too, they have this mentality, the door closed, you know, open door to no one. Only the persons on the second floor, the managers are allowed to go to the president. Don't you dare come and walk up the step and knock on the president's door and say, sir, this. No, it has order and it has structure. And we all have to abide by it in this traditional hierarchical structure or division of labor, they call it. So even though that is there, you know, you still have an opportunity to, you know, share your little talent, your gifting, you know, in the environment. You could still talk about what you want because obviously you will need certain things to complete your task when you go to work. Let's look at structure or table 8.2. We're going to look at a different type of leadership or organizational structure. So we have just spoken about the traditional. So we're going to look at, well, let's look at the advantages first. Let's look at the advantages of the traditional structure. Do I have it? Yes, I do have it. It's clearly articulated, and I did mention they have rules and regulations. It maintains order, and persons are accountable for each other. So if I'm working below, I have to tell my boss such and such and such. And sometimes even those on the same level with me or with you, they are looking into even share with their bosses what they are seeing. So sometimes we have people, you know, watching and monitoring because like they are the gatekeepers and the spies, so to speak. So as some form of accountability. And it's less stress for us at the bottom. The president and the managers, them just get all this, most of the stress because they want to ensure that the company continues. Let's look at some disadvantages of the traditional structure. The staff has little input in decision making. So even if you have a good idea or very good suggestion, you've now taken it to this person, and this person could actually take the kudos, as we say, take the praise. They know it come from you. So it's only if it's a nice manager, they might say, well, that idea came from Jada, or that idea came from Aaron, right? So the staff is like puppets on a string. Whatever they are told to do, they're just doing it. And that's not a nice environment to be in. It's kind of stressful, right? If they say, okay, don't leave the workplace, the door closing at 4 o'clock, right? Or work closes at 4. But you have literally an emergency. You're frightened to say something. So that is not really a nice environment, but it's still functional, it still operates, and there is high level of stress at the top in the leadership position. So that is the disadvantages of it. Let's look at the next type. Thank you so much. Let's look at the next type of leadership. This is a flipped one, right? It's flipped. And this one is called the inverted organizational structure. And this structure is a little more welcoming to staff. It's a way that has been evolving more in society as it encourages the leaders and the to work with the staff. In this particular pyramid, the inverted pyramid structure, it lends much support to the company, and staff feels welcome. Staff feels at home. Staff feels just to share their talents and to share their giftings in the environment. When you could come to work and say, boss, in a nice, respectable way, boss, yesterday was my birthday and I bring some cake for you, you know, it is, you feel like, okay, boss appreciates you. Your boss taking you. Sometimes your boss come in the lunchroom and you're all sitting around the table and sharing a meal and discussing with each other. So these are all part of the inverted organizational structure. You feel comfortable. Your boss could have an understanding or discourse with you to help you uplift the company. It says the president and the advantages celebrates the efforts of those in the lower department. Does anyone could identify with this kind of organization? Sometimes I am involved in sales and I sell for a radio station. And when we make our quotas at the end of the year, they might say, or even before the end of the year, they might say, okay, you might get a little incentive. You might get a financial incentive. You might get a voucher. This is all part of the way of showing that they appreciate you. They might pass by and say, good job, uh, Davian, good job. You're looking good. You're doing a good job there. They might even recognize you on email and say, I am pleased to have such and such. So these are different ways that they encourage us to keep on doing our best in excelling. The staff who have their giftings and talents, they take pleasure in sharing it. So it's not that they're hiding it, you know, because they know when they share their giftings and talents, not only are they developing personally, but the company is also developing. And there is also a possibility when a co-worker sees that you are skilled, maybe you have a Christmas party or a birthday or an anniversary in the company, and you are the one who might say, hey, come and do some balloon decorations. You come, and then from there you get more business. So opportunities to start to use their giftings, and at the end of the day, get other opportunities. And staff members work towards keeping the vision of the company alive, because at the end of the day, once the company is alive and you are willing to work for the company until, well, I hear retirement coming up to 65, if you want to work until 65, or if it still stays at 60, you could stay with that company for longevity and main, ensure that the company, has that presence in society. And the boss is always willing to have the door open that they could always walk in at the right time, using wisdom. You're not every time you run up by the boss and thinking that you and the boss are really friends. But there's a time for everything as you go into that office to support the boss and great ideas to move forward. Let's go on to our next slide. So as we move from the traditional, we are moving from the inverted, because even in this instructor, staff become competitive. I find, as we look at the disadvantages there, as much as it has its advantages, it has the disadvantage. And sometimes when staff becomes too comfortable, I find with those in presidential or management positions, I find it as, they spoke a little bit too much. They think boss and them on the same level, yes, but you still have to know where to draw the line. Also, I had to reiterate this point that there is competition. As soon as you know that the boss and them taking your suggestions, you come really, really competitive with your co-workers. And that is not what it is about. It's just about building the organization. So if this is something that we have been practicing, let's try to avoid being competitive. Excellence is important, but at the same time, let's work together and focus on the main goal. The main goal is keeping the company alive, and the main goal is not always wanting to be heard and always wanting to, Aaron do that real good at Aaron again. We could always depend on Aaron. When Jada does something, listen. When she put out a table, because she's the events manager, when she put it out, you know, you can't beat nobody. And when somebody wants to say, I want to do something, they're trembling in their boots because they're wondering if they will hear the same kudos that they say when Jada put out something, you know. So it's not about competition. It's all about building the company and, maintaining good camaraderie as we work together. So thank you so much for reminding me on that slide here, Xavier. Let's move on now to the other structure. It has this web structure, right? When I saw this web structure, I say, what is this? It have all sorts of organization. This organization is the web. And with this web, now, this, look at all the lines as they you see in this circular, the circumference, right? But the boss in the middle there. And as you extend further out, that is staff just coming into these kind of companies. That's the web organized. It's very interesting. It is a strong knitted company. And it's in the good times and in the bad times, the team and the staff stick with the company. They are there for longevity. As it stretches out, there's a lot of change and modification along with the web design or the web organization. You think when you're in an organization, you want the same old, same old. I don't want to be in no same old organization. When I come on this platform with Sir, and when week by week we have different persons sharing, we don't want the same old. We want different things because you see the giftings and the talents of different persons. So that's what this web is about. It will always have somebody coming in, if it's from India, somebody coming from China, somebody coming from Trinidad, somebody coming with some suggestion, with some idea, with some gifting, with some talent. And they are sharing it with each other. They are reinventing this structure. It stays the same like the web, but it like, like when a web building, when when a spider building their web, they keep going around and around and around. And as they go around and around, it's getting larger and larger and stronger. So as management keeps going around and communicating with their staff and understanding the staff and understanding their organization with all the different managers, they will keep doing different things. They will try this, they will try another. Some will have errors, but they will keep on going to keep that company to stay afloat. The team is always communicating with each other in decision making. And even as Sir was sharing with us, even in our WhatsApp page, he will keep on asking questions, even on the platform. He will share different information and we would respond to him on the WhatsApp chat. So he keeps on communicating with us to ensure that we are meeting the specific goal, the specific purpose why we are in his class. At the end of the day, each of us want to know that we get a grade 3, right? Each of us want to know that we get A. All of us want to achieve that. And at the end of the day, the president or the managers of the organization want to ensure that if its financial goals are met, if the health goals of the Ministry of Health, that is met. If the business organization, if communication and teamwork is met. In the event organization, they want to make sure when they go out and they have the display maybe for independence, made for Eid al-Fitr, made for Indian arrival, they want to know when they put out the event and when they put out the display, the common goal as made be in this web design, that it is accomplished excellence and that persons will remember the organization that came and executed it. So the web design is labeled, also labeled as the non-hierarchical or hierarchical. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. Someone could help me, right? It is also classified as that. And as we continue in our next slide, we want to make sure that as you learn about this web design, that it has so much, what I say, it could always evolve, right? But it also have challenges. It also have challenges in this web design. But what the good part about it, there is always equality. When you could work in an organization and you feel that across the board, all of you all are equal and nobody thinking they're better than you feel comfortable. Power and authority are shared amongst the workforce. That is excellent. That makes the task easier. All staff members have the opportunity to grow. So it wouldn't be one person name calling more than the other in the limelight, and then somebody feeling uncomfortable and they don't want to come to the work no more. Them feel them better than me. No. Everybody feels appreciated at the end of the day. Josiah wouldn't say, oh gosh, them calling that first calling Aaron name again. Nah, boy, look how good I take my time and I created the thing, the PowerPoint and all, and they never call me. No, everybody has the opportunity to grow when Aaron saying, okay, I'm doing it this time. So all of us have an opportunity. The organization structure is flat. That's why I said there is equality. And this is a good part. Decision making is made by voting. I like that part. So it's not that when you come to the meeting and you're saying, okay, all those who, all right, we know we have fish, who eating fish, we know who eating chicken. All those who want chicken, you could put up your hand with confidence and come chicken. Because at the end of the day, they wouldn't ignore people have interest in fish. All those who want to go to Spain to be part of the upcoming fireworks, people could vote and say, yes, I want to go. And if you are not interested, you are not looked down on, right? All those who want blue curtains, we're going to put up drapes in the office. What color you think it should be, you vote if it's that color drapes, or if we should just have windows or whatever. So it's a voting mentality. And members always know that it's always about equality at their workplace in the web non-hierarchical structure. So let's move right ahead. Right ahead. I just love it. I just love it. But there are some things, this structure, we also have to remember the structure is not an organization, right? And it exists to connect people to each other, and it helps for one common purpose for which the organization was developed. It's about connecting, it's about helping you achieve your goals. Remember, I talked about the skills earlier. And with these skills, once when you will learn new skills. And if you are leaving the company today or tomorrow, you have something to go with you to the next company. So that's why it's so important that you don't, when you have the opportunity, you're only missing in action, you're running the toilet. Oh gosh, I don't want to be part of that. They have something again. No, when they have the activity or event, go and develop your skills because that will be part of your resume. When you're leaving, they have a good um, letter to give you when you're leaving the company. They say she was always, somebody always a good team member. She has good ideas. And I am proud and I am confident having this staff, this new person on your team. She will add to your organization. So let's continue to learn the skills that will help us to be effective at the workplace and even as when we advance to new company. Let's go right ahead, Ms. Guerra. So I know that I've touched on that. The organization exists for specific purpose, and in it, it will help us to, we are, well, with that, we are now going to, as I see the word values there, and this PowerPoint is very large, we are going to look at leadership. We are going to look at these particular headings as we come right out of the structures. We are going right into now organizational mission, vision, and core values. So yes, we spoke about organization exists for a specific purpose, even if it's for to represent the members' view. What are their thoughts? What are their concerns? They're, especially people want more salary now. So all of that is part of as we focus on organization, vision, and mission. That is, let me close this part here. It is the organizational values is the rock of any organization's success. And if the organization doesn't have their own values, well, as the old people, let's say, crap will smoke their pipe, right? We need to have some form of structure. It is the rock for their success. It gives insight to who they are or who we are, and it differentiates us from the competitors. Now, I mentioned to you that I'm from a media house, and media houses are always looking for salespeople. And at the end of the day, according to the MFO survey, that's the Media Facts and Opinion survey, it tells you who are ranking in the media. So if it's newspapers, if it's radio, if it's television. But even if a media house is ranking in a certain area, may it be in CAISO or it may it be what other thing might top of the line writing, which will be print. Then it have the television might be just the right persons who are on the platform who are sharing news reports, who have the best kind of ads coming, These things will determine how much money these media houses make at the end of the year. But even though some media houses do not make a profit, these media houses know who they are and what differentiates them from the competitor. So it might have plenty media houses are dealing with East Indian music or might be dealing with religious music, gospel music. Every business person has to know what differentiate them or what makes them stand out to their listeners. Why the listeners will switch from one station to a next station. Why a reader will switch from one newspaper to another newspaper. Why a viewer will switch from looking at one television station to switch to another, or cable, or maybe the same as B Mobile or Digicel or whichever network. They have to know what causes them to stand out in the eyes of their investor. It also helps them to keep focus on, why they are here, where they are going, in order for them to stay afloat and even to carry the team forward. Sometimes the team might get disenchanted or discouraged and wondering, oh gosh, we always behind. Look at that company, them doing all kind of thing. And why we always doing nothing, a matter of fact. It them boring in this company, right? Because the managers and they know what they are looking for at the end of the day. So let's keep going regarding our organizational values. We have to know what are we about. So I know that in this a survey done by Mr. Jones Kanya in 1995, he decided to do this survey, even though he know the mission of the organization was simply to exist, but he wanted to go a little deeper. Now, mind you, he took his time to go and track down information from various organizations on their mission, like Southwest Airlines, like Google, like United Parcel, like Dell Computers. He went and he took time to find out why these people and what they have written in their mission statement to keep them focused on their goal. And I'm sure you can read regarding what this particular company, Google, said. Google mission said is to organize the world's information and to make it universally accessible and useful. Now, it does take a while to really write a mission statement. It's a lot of time and effort and ideas and cutting and pacing and putting things together in order to have the right words, the right amount of words, not too long, but just enough for somebody to be hooked on what this company is about. Dell Computer describes their corporate philosophy as the soul of Dell, and I'm sure that many of you all have heard about saying the soul of Dell. They are to team to direct relationships and global citizenship and winning. Now, I always wanted a Dell computer, but why do I want it? Is it just because it looked nice? Because of the logo? Or is it because it lasts long? Does anybody have a Dell computer on this platform? Why you bought it if you have a Dell computer? Anybody have a Dell computer? Anybody? Well, I guess not. So we're going to continue. Nobody has a Dell computer here. But even as we continue, many persons, the gentleman, he stretched himself and he got this information. But we have to still understand why this mission statement should be quite simple to any one of us that is reading. Now, I don't want to go looking at people internationally and reading about Apple and reading about, all these different people of international influence. I just want to know that I want to look inside Trinidad and Tobago regarding the mission that is so clear, that is so concise in language, so that the staff who is working along will feel pleased to be part of it. Because remember, if I was part of the staff who wrote the mission statement as to why it existed, I would take pleasure in being part of the company. Won't you be excited of being part of the company? So we're gonna look at cost cost um, we're gonna look at cost now. Well, we're gonna look at the vision, but we're gonna go back to the vision, right? But I want you to think before we go back. Cost also have their vision. They also have their mission as to why and their vision as to why they operate as an institution. We have chosen Costa for a reason. We didn't go by UWEED, we didn't go by Roy Tech, we didn't go by Caribbean, we didn't go maybe Harvard University. We chose Costa. So while you are thinking about what is Costa's vision, I want Ms. Zabian to go back to what her vision is. I want her to go back into what that slide behind. It's an ideal or unique image of our future. The other one, you just worked on it, about future. When you think about the vision, you're thinking about just looking that like a dart with the arrow. When you aim the arrow, it's going in one place. It's a unique image of seeing the future. It's an image of what people or the enterprise aspire for it to become. So we know who are part of any organization, the vision is already there. And now you are at that place. You now have to aspire to become. I'm trusting that is a positive organization you are in. But even as we look at COSTAT organizations, positive, and we have to represent COSTAT positively wherever we go. The vision statement answers the question, what do we want to be? And everybody has an idea what they want to be when they finish Costa. Or while before they reach the Costa, they had an idea what they want to be. Costa is just helping us to achieve it. And that is why we are in our tutors class. You know, today we are calling him Dr. Bisoud, right? So that we are in his class to help us to achieve that goal. What is the best we can be? And I'm trusting by the time you finish Costa, and by the time you finish this leadership course, that you understand fully what is the best you could be. You have to set your own personal vision, your own personal mission, right? For you and your family too, and for yourself, for success. At the end of, I'm just going to sidetrack. What is how much money you want to achieve at the end of the year or at the end of the month? How much money are you saving? Are you taking all your money and going down by Nichols or going down by one of them brand stores and only buying the brand clothes, or going by the hairdresser, going by the latest barber, or getting the latest phone? What is your vision at the end of the day in your savings? How much money you want to save? What country you want to travel to? All these are vision and mission and ideas that we have to set. It doesn't have to be an organization, but you too have your vision. Let's move quickly ahead. I'm trusting that persons were able to think about what is Costa's vision, what is Costa's mission. So here we have the mission for Costa. And I'm going to ask everybody to unmute their mic, please. Everybody to unmute your mic. And after 3, we are going to, yes, everybody, I'm asking to unmute your mic. We are going to read the mission statement for Costa. So feel free to unmute your mic. Jada, could you unmute your mic, please? I don't have to call your name, Aaron. Everybody.
Sorry, no.
And after 3, some people might be in school or wherever. I can understand if you are in an area that you want, your boss not to be. I respect that, right? I respect that. But for those who can't unmute their mic, can you please help us? After 3, we are going to read the mission statement of Costa. 2, 3, to be the premier educational institution providing
high quality,
affordable, and accessible. Go ahead.
Educational programs
serving the needs of business, industry, and the diverse campus communities and facilitating the personal and professional development of its students,
faculty,
and staff. Sorry.
Right. So that is our mission. So I know every time when we go into our curriculum and when we go up in e-classroom, the teacher just give us that core curriculum. It right inside are there to read and to remind us what is the mission. We have the vision there to be a student-centered, dynamic, and innovative world-class multi-campus college, promoting excellence in teaching and learning, serving diverse communities, and Ms. Guerra,
and producing lifelong learners who can compete globally.
Right. So this is right there. So let us take time to reflect on it. Let's go right ahead because this session, we are glad that we could really share in depth regarding organizational complex structure. And I saw these words here, right? So I want to ask somebody, what is this statement from Costat identified as? I don't know. So I want somebody really to tell me what these transforming lives, transforming communities, transforming the nation. One student at a time. Does anybody know what that is? Jada.
Mission statement.
That is the mission statement.
I don't know.
Is it that? I asking it because I really don't know. I want help. Transforming lives, transforming communities, transforming the nation, one student at a time.
Oh, no, that's the motto.
The motto. Yeah. You know, in our nation, we have like the watchwords and things. They say discipline, tolerance, and production. Yeah. And those things, just snap words just to help us to remember. We as citizens, we should have discipline. We should be tolerant with other persons and work along with other persons and be productive. Don't waste our time, you know. Don't afternoon there, don't by the corner. Don't waste our time, whole time on the phone. Let's manage our time as productive citizens coming out from Custard, representing your families and representing your generations. Because I know Aaron told me about medicine. I wonder if he's from a medicine family. So we going on. So thank you so much, Jada, for sharing that. I appreciate it. So we're going into organizational culture, which is a collection of values, expectations, and practices that guide and inform the actions of all team. Everybody have a culture. In some homes, they have their own personal culture or traditions, why they do certain things, how they do certain things, how we're going to keep the organization functioning. These are all values that we are expected to execute on a daily basis. In this structure here in our culture, what we need to do in this business platform or any other, when it's time to be early for the session. I myself encountered some corrections from a lecturer in being late on session. I don't think he meant any harm because sometimes when we enter late, actually all times we enter late, we lose a lot of information according to the time that we are coming in. So all of us have our culture. Culture when you come into the house, in the afternoon, you say good afternoon or good night. Or when we come on the platform, we greet sir. Sir, that's the first person to greet us. He don't make smokes with that. He unmutes his mic and he say good afternoon, so and so. Good afternoon, Aaron. Good afternoon, Chanel. He says, he greets us and we feel comfortable. Let's go right ahead. Thank you so much. And I'm trusting that you all are learning something and enjoying the session. We're going to end in a few minutes. Organizational culture is a valid, workable pattern of a shared basic, ideas learned. We are learning every day to solve problems, to deal with issues, may it be at home, may it be at the workplace, and how we think, how we operate, how we feel in whichever situation that we are dealing with, according to Egner's scheme in the organizational culture and leadership 2004, or the year 2004. So we are always having opportunities. We go right on to the next slide. We are always having opportunities how we can become the best in whichever culture, whichever organization that we are in, and as we work. Yes? So, Miss Guerra, you can carry me on right to the other slide. So, as we continue to exist in our groups, as we continue to work in our groups, it is important that we respect persons, because sometimes somebody might dress a certain way. Some person might have, somebody, sometimes a boss might be really aggressive and they really don't know how to talk to people, as we just say, what them think it is, boy. I could clobber them up. Them wake up on the wrong side this morning. Some people have a way how they speak to others. Some people, all sorts of things happen in various culture. But at the end of the day, we have to respect others and let people know if we are offended. For some reason, it can be said that a society is defined by its boundaries and a culture defines its horizon. So we are just going to understand that our culture at Custard, I believe, is really cool, because sometimes when I go in at the front desk, the security officers, all of them are very warm. When you go to the next area, they are also welcoming. So they have different things that they do to ensure that we as staff are comfortable in our institution. They try their utmost best. And they have rites and rituals are governed by the intricacies of the organization and how it operates. So, sometimes we have gender, some persons, and they have their lifestyle, what they choose. Some people might, be intoxicated with different things. Some people have certain way they walk, and certain things that can really be, in some business places, you might see more persons of a certain gender operating a certain way. Everybody have the culture is different in every organization, and you will have to respect it. If you want to work in a company, you could share your thoughts, but at the end of the day, you're there for a particular goal. Some some um some organizations have a term called cabal. I don't know why they call it the cabal, but it's just a way how they function, how they operate, how they make things happen. And I know in one of the understanding others, it was Chanel and I were talking about um, gender, and some persons have their some persons, we talk about the gay lifestyle and these different kind of thing, and it's very uncomfortable in some discussions and even in some settings when you see some either the male or female reacting in a certain way. You feel very uncomfortable when you believe what went into their head to be getting on like that. What went into that person's head when they may have pierced their nose and pierced their ears and pierced their tongue? What went into this person's head when they colored up their hair? People have their own, taste and values, and we have to respect them as we communicate. We also have structural human resource. All this information will be on the e-classroom, so you can always go through it. But there are different terms that persons spoke on the power and distance of index individual masculinity, and different theorists spoke on it, right? So the blue has a particular Terron spoke on the value. Then we have Balmain spoke on the structure. Then we have Sherry or Stacey actually spoke on strong cultures inevitable that will block new learning. And I just want to touch on that part. There are things that will come to us, new learning. It's not that you have to accept it, but you might have an exam that you just have to write the answer. You just write the answer, but you don't have to accept it in your life. And sometimes when some things that need to help us to move forward, if we reject it, we will just be left in the back. We just would, prosperity would leave us behind and many things will leave us behind. So there are some things that we just have to welcome and move forward with it. So Ms. Guerra, could you go right on to the next slide? If I have to share, I'll continue, or and that's some of the structures there that you will see, the organizational culture diagram. You are looking at the artifacts, the structures, the strategies, the processes, beliefs, values, perception, thoughts, and feelings. Let's move right ahead. I know I touched on that earlier with the organizational structure. We spoke about the rights. We also touched on that and how these rights of members, how it will help us. Go right back on it, Ms. Guerra. Right back on it. How it will help us to evolve and help us to make our group successful. Right? Any questions about the organizational structure? All right. So you could read the values and we're gonna, what basic values are what basic values do members of your organization embrace? Anybody have an idea what values their organization embraces? Any heroes, any person stand out in your organization? Have any person who stands out in your organization? Josiah, you want to, anybody, like, you know, in your organization have people who will, they might make it on TV. Some people might be in Calypso. Some people might be work, they might be, have a group and they go from community to community distributing food for the homeless. These are all heroes and sometimes we call them unsung heroes. Anybody have that in their organization? Anybody? All right. Well, let's move right ahead and I'm going to pass the mic right on to Miss Davian as she speaks on organization network. Thank you so much.
Hi. So I am going to be, as Fidina said, talking to you all about organizational network. When we say organizational network, an organizational network in its most basic form is a collection of three or more organizations, that choose to cooperate, share resources, and carry out other cooperative activities. The fact that they can cooperate and have a goal is crucial. Networks are crucial because they give us the possibility to connect with a variety of people. The network may work on an ongoing issue like student retention, or it may focus on a special issue like when a large group of students, faculty, and staff are brought together to plan something. Let me say everybody from Costa come together to plan our institution's 100th anniversary celebration. So student, ethnic, or cultural organizations might collaborate on diversity initiatives, ethnicity, or culture. Student organizations may collaborate on campus diversity initiatives or take advocacy tasks agreed on the network's goal. establishing many connections as possible among members and ensuring that the network has multiple leaders, which is very important in establishment. So, moving on to the next slide, life cycles of organizations. So, the theoretical framework of phases that an organization normally follows is known as the organizational life cycle. The planning, growth, maturity, and decline phase make up the organizational life cycle, and specific tasks and issues characterized in each stage. Sorry, specific tasks and issues are characterized in each stage. Right. Any organization's ability to adapt to change circumstances, membership, demographics, and leadership is crucial to its success. An organization can renew itself and keep its vitality by being adaptable. A small group of skilled and determined individuals can move organizations into greatness by their focused actions. This sometimes happens with new organizations. So, for example, a group of students would say they have a new project to do, and they would become, well, if I have a project to do, I would get a little ecstatic, depending on what the project is, obviously. Um, but when you get excited, okay, say you're planning a birthday party, you will get excited and you will call people to help you because you want insights as to what color to use, what color scheme, what kind of decorations, and them kind of things. This depicts the purpose of an organization in terms of working together to achieve the same goals and objectives. The persistence of this small group would obviously help accomplish powerful outcomes, so the birthday party would be successful. However, this organization may be short-lived if plans aren't carried forth properly. So the idea of lives in organizations is presented by John W. Garner, written in a book. And in order to distinguish between organizations that are still in their infancy and those that have developed into something more ordered with a clear sense of direction, John uses the words infancy and maturity. In more detail, the table refers to a similar changing process using the labels as seen on screen. So it have coursing, then it have infancy, then it have go-go. After that is adolescence, prime, stable as in stability, aristocracy, early bureaucracy, and then oh my god. You all have me pronounce this word. Can anybody pronounce this word for me?
Which word is that?
Bureaucracy.
Yeah, that one, bureaucracy.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted somebody to say it, but thank you. And then there. So just like when you were younger and you were flexible with reactions, like I mentioned before, much like organizations in this context, being open to trying new things and having the adaptability to respond quickly would be very beneficial. And okay, so just like how when you get older, flexibility lessens and you become more enclosed, same goes for said organizations when they mature. They become less flexible and more ready to adapt to a slow-paced environment with slow and steady advancements. Some things organizations need to ask themselves from time to time is what have we accomplished? And how do these accomplishments reflect our organization's mission, as Fedina touched on before? If these questions are being struggled to answer, then that means that organizations may have to question their focus points and re-examine their purpose of carrying out certain activities and procedures. So, as a leader, you must identify and describe significant accomplishments that helped you or your organization achieve, and not the fact that you attended or ran through a lot of meetings. So now I'm going to talk about multicultural organizational development. An organization must be willing to reinvent itself if it wants to stay lively and viable throughout time. Multicultural organizational development is a strategy for approaching organizational transformation. This approach places a strong emphasis on how complete involvement of members from all different cultural backgrounds and social groups, as well as dedication to ending any forms of social oppression that may exist within the organization and prevent the meaningful, inclusive involvement of all members. This this focuses on social justice and diversity. Understanding how an organization may change itself to be multicultural is crucial since the relation leadership model stresses inclusion and empowerment. With this being discussed, effect do you think it would have the what effect do you think it would have for every campus organization if they put an end to all types of social oppression? I know that's a complex question, so I would answer. I think that it would be a transformation, making making the campuses a better place for all faculty, staff, and students. So now we are going to look at the table provided by our textbook, and it describes the nature of society with monocultural, non-discriminatory, and multicultural groups, as well as oppression, liberation models, self-interest and change, and values and ideolo- ideology. So, and sir, these words are so complicated to say. Forgive me. So, in monocultural groups, with the nature of society, they are harmonious. They have similar interests. Um, needs to be improved, but we could say it's okay. Multicultural natures of society experience conflicts, different interests, sometimes oppressive, and our textbook suggests that it needs change. As for oppression, dominance, desegregation, and pluralism, for multicultural groups, I would say diversity has equality, empowerment, and collective growth as for the values and ideolo- ideology. in monocultural groups have basic rights of individuals. The best person is rewarded. As for multicultural groups, it has interdependence, ecological survival, development, and development of human and social potential. So, I will now hand you back over to Ferdinand to discuss the impact of technology on organizations.
Thank you so much. Well, we are almost to the end. And right now, we are using technology. That's the new normal, especially the online classes. So this wouldn't even take much explanation, especially when it comes to the companies, to organization with complex structures, because with complexity, not everyone will be at the workplace. And we have experienced this more, especially with COVID. COVID came and COVID just, changed, flipped all kind of structures, all kind of organizations, and ensure that we have our technology was what those who didn't have much technology in their companies, they had to spend a lot of money for investing and making things happen. And I know the same would have been with Costa, where by even for our educational platform, it took a long period before they were up and running to ensure that we, the students, were able to continue our education. So again, as I mentioned before, those who are not techno techno savvy, they would be left behind. Companies will fall apart if they don't get the various aspects. Even if it's to get the internet up and running, if they don't have that, they're being left behind. So we are going to understand a little bit more of the importance of having this technology within us, with the company, because of the impact. It's very critical in the everyday running of organization, according to Mr. Oblinger, 2005. Now, the virtual teams, we have seen so much. We see in Zoom, we see in Team, we see in all different platforms they are presenting to us in order to continue our education, in order to have meetings, organizations that do not, that I said, you do not need to be in the office. We do not need to be at school as often as before. Some people, when COVID hit, we were at work, at home doing work, and the business continued. And guess what? They benefited also because I'm sure the light bill was low. I am sure pertaining to toiletries and all these different things, all of that decreased. They didn't have to spend as much as they would have spent in other months. So there are great benefits when it comes to the virtual world. And even as I just go back and forth, we are now have the opportunity of the international connections. We have students now coming to Custard because of the international, more students coming to Custard because of more the virtual aspect. Other institutions, the same thing. And we are seeing that organizations do not need to exist to have people or sometimes anyone in one place. And I'm sure all of you all could agree to that. We don't have to be at the office. Ziggers knows that. He knows the term of virtuality as a continuum. It keeps on going and going. It's something new, that persons could enjoy. It has so much aspects that you could, it's flexible, it's dynamic across the board. It have the geography, it has no time, it has no culture, it have no organizational, structure of certain sense. It is virtual. You have no limits. It's just vast. It's wide, it's broad, that you could just enjoy anytime. Imagine anytime when you switch on your computer and you're communicating to complete an assignment. Anytime you could have a session with somebody in the next country doing a financial transaction. So that is how the importance of ensuring that companies stay in the loop of things and stay ahead and be proactive to ensure that they are always in the forefront of success. According to Handy, he spoke about how the importance of trust, even when you are on the platform of both virtual, using the virtual platform. Sometimes you get taken away with not trusting the other person on the other side, but we have to trust those as we use the virtual platform. Still, we are using safety because we know how some persons can get trapped. Some persons have lost a lot of money. And personally, like banks, I personally, I don't know about you, but when it comes to online banking, I have a I have something with online banking. I just uncomfortable with online banking. So I have to trust the system in order for me to advance, in order for me to do my financial transactions. And when I could be part of that, I could progress. When we look at E, the benefits, you have more staff members are involved in decision making. You know, wherever they are, you just say, okay, the meeting happening, everybody log in. And when we have WhatsApp, we send in a message too. We calling them to make sure they attend the meeting. You're giving them a time when the meeting happening. So more persons are involved now, because if somebody is sick, they could log on and still be part of the meeting. If they are COVID, they could still log on and just mute your mic and be part of the meeting. No excuse. Equality of staff, strong leadership are developed when it has the virtual aspect of in the complex organization. And even in the E team, leaders are more effective. There is more gelling. There comes a time of trusting, the sharing the information. They're just working together. It was really a pleasure working with Ms. Guerra as we came on the e-platform because of this organizational complex structure that we had to actually fit into, right? To ensure that we accomplish our task, maybe in a group. This was a kind of large group because it was more than 3 persons, more than, wasn't 20, right? So it still went down. So we are in a small group, but at least we're able to accomplish our task, all of us on the platform. And we could now be able to organize people in our company. I'm sure all of us now can organize persons using our virtual wisdom and knowledge to support persons to achieve their goals. Right ahead, Miss Guerra. We are really boiling down. The disadvantage of the virtual platform, to me, much effort has to be built. And it's a lot of money at times in order to have this virtual platform. It's very costly. Much energy you have to push in order for everyone to see the common purpose, the values that everybody could meet the common goal, right? Because sometimes you have to keep on calling, you have to keep on sending messages, you have to keep on reminding persons, reminding persons, reminding persons. And one of the things with I know Sir spoke about it earlier, even on the platform when you have a lot of meetings, it could really take on your health. So that is one of the disadvantage of the virtual organizations, when every time you have a meeting, you always have to be typing, you have to be sitting down, you have to watch your posture, you have to make sure you're in the right place to make sure you're not dropping from the internet. So I think these are some of the disadvantages when it comes to the virtual aspect, right? Make sure you have the money to pay all the bills. If you don't pay, some persons have company phones, and if the company does not pay the bills for that to be maintained, well, there is no data and you have to get your own data. So, and if there is no internet running at the company, that's the next issue by itself. So those are some of the disadvantages. You may have your own disadvantages regarding the virtual platform. They also said leadership within the virtual environment is described by Avilio and Kanhai as its core leadership is about the development of relationships. So even though it may have its disadvantages, it's all about staying connected. It's all about building relationships. It's all about using the technology to connect, and it's not specifically about you. It's not about you. And then it also encourages us as leaders, because remember, we are looking at leadership. Leaders, we have to build strong relationships in order to lead effectively, even also on the virtual platform. So you have to strategize more. You're not literally in the front of the person. So we have to take more effort to ensure that this person is listening to what you are saying. I myself and Xavier have to put extra effort to ensure that you are not doing so many other things, but still listening to us as we share on the platform. So we have to have this leadership role and we have to have this team effectiveness in order to reach the common goal. So your organization already already might have that virtual aspect, but I am telling you, there is so much more out there regarding technology. There is so much more you as a student could enjoy regarding technology and advancing yourself on the virtual platform. And the impact of technology cannot be overstated. It cannot be overstated. We have the ability to communicate with each other on a daily basis, on a daily basis. And as we have this opportunity to communicate with each other, as Charles Hanley said, we are not seeing each other, but it is a network. Imagine that. It's not literally an office. We are not literally in offices whereby people have to build walls and put up this structure and put up that. No, wherever you are in a virtual organization meeting the goal of the company. You could go right on to the next slide, please. We have seen organized people and seen people accomplish great goals. I want to ask you all a question as we almost come to the end of my section. I want you to think about your organization. Think deeply. Has your organization reached this level of being a complex organization? How virtual are you? How much expanse is your company reaching out to support staff members who may not be at work? Are they ignoring them when they are not at the office and say, well, she go just pick up when thing and when they come back to work, they go here. I am asking you that question. If you use technology in your organization, how do you use it? Do you use the technology in your organization for good? Do you use the technology to gossip? Do you use the technology whole time you're on Facebook? Do you use technology um, only send on WhatsApp? How do you use your technology, or are you building the organization, getting some great ideas to expand? Think about your organization. What has been the effect of it? The technology that they are using, how effective is it to the community? How effective it is to the world at large? How effective is it to those who they communicate with? Because the Ministry of Security They have to be very careful regarding technology and regarding who they work, who works for them, the prime minister, the president, all these different persons, and even accountants and billionaires and millionaires. They have to be so careful. And even as you work for them and I do work for them, how has the effect of it been? How do you use it? And think about your organization. Have you what have been the benefits and challenges associated with its use? What challenge have you encountered using technology? Has it affected your hands? Has it affected the nerves in your hands? You're typing. Has it affected, are you not able to enter into, you don't know how to do a Zoom link like me, or a Meet link like me? What are the challenges are you encountering? Are you trying to improve, or are you just letting it always ask somebody to do it for you? How have you, how has it benefited you? At the end of the day, the questions remains the same. We cannot predict how your organization will change, when it will change, how much money it will take to change, who will be at the helm for it to change. We don't know. But at the end of the day, all we know is that technology will change. And if they do not change with technology, they will be left behind. I now pass you back to Miss Fabian.
Right. So, learning organizations. According to a publication from Sinnage in 1994 that was mentioned in our textbook in this chapter, it included the module of personal mastery, mental models, shared vision, and team learning, as well as systems thinking. These modules make up a framework of system thinking, each which is correlated with each other. So, personal mastery. This basically involves doing the best possible job. So, for instance, in terms of an accountant within a company, in order to achieve the best performance as an accountant, they would have to know how to use accounting software and be able to prepare proper bank statements and so on. Whereas for a manager, on the other hand, they would be responsible for hiring employees and ensuring that the business operations run smoothly and stuff like that. So, needless to say that within every organization, skills and abilities are available from all employees, as that everyone could contribute equally. Hence, it's important for leaders to work within groups membership, not only so that these individuals could gain the skills needed to be effective in their current roles within the organization, but also as a way of preparing them for future positions. When members are skilled and empowered, they use these skills to benefit the organization. So, mental models. What exactly are mental models? Well, I'll tell you. Mental models are the assumption that people make about various aspects of the world. It's like an explanation of someone's thought process and how it relates to something that works in the real world, like a representation of the surrounding world, the relationships between its various parts, and a person's intuitive perception about their own acts and consequences. So, when somebody said the word leader, conflict, diversity, or meeting, um, What images come to mind when you hear the word, sorry, not images, what attributes or qualities come to mind when you hear the word leader, since we covered a good bit about leadership? It doesn't have to be a list, it could be one. Could somebody tell me qualities of a leader? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. So I think leaders, as we learned, are people who lead and command groups. Fair enough? And I believe that a good leader should have integrity, self awareness, courage, respect, empathy, and even gratitude. So consider for a moment you uh, consider you're hosting a wedding and you need a planner, like a wedding planner. Your mental model, your mental model would be that this person that you hire to plan your wedding is capable of planning the perfect wedding without letting any detail go untouched. Like they have to cover everything, especially if you give them a list to work with. So what if this turns out to be false? What if they forget something major and important? Like it would what was something really important that they forget that you don't want them to forget. So um I was going to give you an example of something that I wouldn't want a wedding planner to forget on my wedding day, but I genuinely have no idea. So let's just pretend the planner that I hire forgets something really important.
Let's say they forgot to order the flowers.
Yeah, yeah. They forget the white roses that I wanted. That would mean that I experience a loss in one of what I would consider to be one of the most important milestones in my life. You know, your wedding day is a big day, right? This is why it's important to compare the mental models that you have with others in your organization. In this way, false assumptions can be minimized. Mental models can also be empowering for a whole organization. Consider what would happen if members thought about your organization, the concepts of inclusion, empowerment, process, ethics, and common purpose. These images could do a lot to guide the organization in a way that would help make it strong and more successful. So, moving on to shared vision. The purpose behind a shared vision is that every member of an organization must agree with its goal, vision, and purpose, as we covered previously. Given the current emphasis on empowerment and shared vision or common purpose is extremely crucial because it's possible to empower people despite having high levels of personal mastery. Everyone would be pushing everyone would be pushing hard in separate directions if there's no common sense of direction. And an effect would be a company that if it moves at all, it would move randomly. Team learning. So the concept of team learning is also vital in any learning organization, as mentioned in the publication that I referred to earlier. Note that learning at the individual level must be supplemented by learning at the team level, organ at the team level, and essentially at all levels. Lastly, systems thinking. Finally, a system approach governs the thinking of learning in organizations. When people think systematically, they share responsibility for the good and bad things that happen, rather than looking for someone to blame. Members of a learning organization hold up the mirror and ask why what they have done, probably why they have done it, or you know how they contribute to the problem. So think of how many problems. Actually, I'm sure everybody here encounters problems on a daily, and sometimes we blame it on others rather than accepting responsibility for it. Like me, I blame my sibling for a lot of things. Just not to get in trouble with my parents. But the whole point of the systems approach, like I mentioned, is to share the responsibility for the good and bad things that happen. So all of these things, personal mastery, shared vision, mental models, team learning, they are combined to create a learning organization. I've I've covered so much for the simple fact that all organizations are still learning, and in the capability for our organization to constantly learn and adapt, it creates room for restructuring and also creates room for growth in order to face new challenges. Okay, moving on to the next slide. So this is our last and final topic for the day. New paradigm of leadership in contextual paradigm cultures. So what is a new paradigm of leadership? In the new leadership paradigm, leaders are motivated by improving well-being of people and communities in ways that have a lasting intrinsic value. So in short, they put service into organization or communities ahead of self-interest. This means that profit becomes a secondary motivation to the meaning or purpose. In order to foster leadership that acts in a service to the long-term health and performance of any organization and its broader environment, it is necessary to adopt an approach to leadership development that recognizes the leader's physical and psychological health, determines effectiveness and performance, and that business and markets do not operate in isolation from society, but are in a way linked with each other. Accept personal responsibility for finding ways to use the information rather than always saying, well, so and so, let me not do that, let me don't do that. And maintain a positive outlook and try to find areas in which you could use this information rather than focusing on areas that seem out of bounds, and continue to try new things even if it's in small ways. So I will now hand you back over to Fidina to go through our chapter summary and to conclude our presentation.
Well, this has been a journey this afternoon. And as we reflect on the organization complex structure, we reflected on the understanding of different groups, the types of organization and the leadership structures, the advantages and disadvantages of models and learning styles, the importance of seeing and hearing, the mission, vision, core values regularly, philosophers and their theories as for organizations. I know that you have heard many. We also look at the organization as complex systems. We looked at virtuality and the impact of technology. We looked at the new paradigm, leadership in conventional paradigm cultures. And it was so in depth regarding how we can learn and use these aspects to ensure that the company that we work at expands. We look at leaders are always uprising. We look at also the organization as being complex in various aspects. And as we come off the platform, we want to remind you that it doesn't matter where you end up in life, you would be in some organization. You will know about it, a traditional organizational structure. Look for that. Look for the inverted organization. Look for the vision and the mission of the organization, which will be helpful. We want you to consider the organizational cultures wherever you are working. That is very much important in the sense of culture of the organization because it provides the insight into your organization. Remember the cycles, how it moves, how it happens, how the networks are very much important to continuity and to build productivity in any organization. Learn your organization well, understand your organization well. And when you understand it, it helps to shape your thinking about the world and how your company can make a difference in the world. We look at multicultural organizations to remain vibrant. They have to encourage full participation of members from all aspects, all cultural levels in the workplace, all social groups. They have to come together in order for the success of the company. We also reflected on the new normal, the online, the e-classroom, the e-office, right? We call them now hybrid, right? So we are looking at these things. The more the team is separated in terms of geography, time, and culture, that is what is classified as virtual. So remember, as you go forward, you are incredible. Remember, the role of the E team is just main goal is to build the company and to build relationships. Leaders are always uprising as we look at the new paradigm. Leaders are always uprising. Would you be one of the leaders for tomorrow? Would you be the next leader at your company? Would you be the one to represent us when it comes for presidency at Costard? There comes a time when you have to step out of the box. There comes a time when you have to shake yourself and stop being afraid because we need leaders to build healthy families, strong communities, strong nation, strong institutions. And I'm going to ask her to go on to the next slide. John Maxwell, let me see if that is there. John Maxwell stated, leaders become great, but not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. And how can this empowerment become? We have to keep on reading. We have to keep on reading. We have to keep on exploring ways to grow and develop ourselves. And when we do that, we can be educated, knowledgeable, well-informed persons to make a difference. On behalf of Xavier and myself, want to say thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at this point in time. Thank you again. Vivian, do you have any closing remarks?
I would also like to thank everybody for staying, all those who did stay and was attentive. I hope that you all had something to take away from it. And yeah, this wraps up our presentation. These are our citations.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, sir.
All right, guys, if there are no questions, I'll pause the recording.